What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that.
I believe there is.
There's no evidence of that, Elon. What is the evidence?
I believe they have literally lowered the standards at Duke University, and that is what the article was referring to.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Quisha King Show. We're going to be talking about Don Lemon. Don Lemon and Elon Musk went at it the other day. And I wanted to bring up two things that Don just couldn't seem to wrap his head around. The first one is free speech. And the second one, DEI. Let's start with the DEI. Here's what I don't think that Don Lemon understands, or maybe he does. You never know with these people because sometimes they really do know what's going on, but they like to pretend that they don't so they can push a narrative, or sometimes they're just in their bubble and they are really ignorant to the things that are happening outside in the real world and everybody else's life. So Elon was trying to explain to him that DEI in medicine could cause people to die because Ben Shapiro and others have been talking about the removal of DEI. You know, there was a Supreme Court decision to remove DEI from colleges, and just the lowering of standards to be more diverse, have more equity, have more inclusion. If you don't hold everyone to the same standard, you're not being equal. And that's why they have moved and changed the language from equality to equity. So everyone can have the same outcomes, which is why they would lower the standard. So they don't want to look bad and show you that they're not graduating smart children, that the schools aren't, that they want to boost up the graduation rates and pretend and give participation points in math. How are you going to graduate those kids and then expect them? How are you going to graduate kids K through 12 that aren't meeting the qualifications to graduate, and then expect them to go on to college, universities, and then also be able to meet the expectations? So it all works together, and therefore the standards have been lowered. So Don doesn't seem to understand that this is problematic. And basically he's like, you don't have any evidence of this. And it's quite baffling because we've been seeing this for years. Asians had to score higher to get into schools where other children, particularly Black children, did not have to score as high. And even white kids, like Asian kids, had to score above everybody. And then there would be more exceptions for Black kids, or, things like that. I mean, even Joy Reid had talked about how she was proud of her DEI acceptance into Harvard University.
Well, let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. I went to a school no one had ever heard of in Denver, Colorado, in a small suburb. I didn't go to Exeter or Andover. I didn't have college test prep. I just happened to be really nerdy and smart and have really good grades and good SAT scores. Right. But someone came to Denver, Colorado to look for me.
Which I don't even believe, because that story sounds really crazy. She says, I wasn't searching for anyone. I went to a small little college and nobody in the world would ever know about little old me. So how did people from Harvard know about you? I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand. But that just sounds really weird that you were in this obscure town and just this smart little Black girl with great grades and all the things and a great SAT score. But then, I don't know, the Harvard bionic Blackometer came and found you or something. Like, what? Just looking for the black belt. Like, what? I don't know. That's just weird to me. I don't know. Maybe the fact that these laws are there that says this is what we're going to do tells you right there that they're already lowering the standard. So why not get ahead of it before we have someone that is on a medical table about to get surgery from someone who doesn't know what they're doing? Why wouldn't we try to prevent these types of things from happening instead of just waiting for them to happen and then saying, oops, my bad? There are already hundreds of thousands of malpractices that happen all the time in the medical industry. These are people's loved ones, Don. Like, these people matter to other people. And so, it may not be your doctor. Maybe you're privileged to not have to worry about that because your doctor's vetted, but it might be somebody else's doctor. But watching Don Lemon and Elon was extremely frustrating because it really kind of made me feel like Don Lemon is really stupid. Like, he's just not really a smart person. Like I said in the beginning, either you're not that smart or you live in a bubble.
What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that.
I believe there is.
There's no evidence of that, Elon. What is the evidence?
I believe they have literally lowered the standards at Duke University, and that is what the article was referring to.
There's no
Are you
evidence
saying they
of
have
that.
not lowered the standards?
There's no evidence about lowering standards, and I think that there is.
I believe that is a false statement you're making.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think
the interesting thing is, when this is posted on the X platform, there will be a whole bunch of things that rebut what you said and what I said.
Right.
And so people can then make their own decision based on the replies and the rebuttals and the community notes.
I think that's fair, but I do think that on this particular topic, I do think that you and Ben Shapiro are reaching in about this, because there was what Ben posted said that he gave instances of people who were deliberately harming people. Nowhere in the thread does Ben suggest at all, I should say, that anyone is being killed as a result of DEI. That's purely speculative. There's research on DEI and medicine, and there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, that DEI is affecting medicine. Actually, only 5% of doctors are Black, and a small percent.
Like, what did he think that affirmative action was? That was lowering standards. It was making an exception for a particular group of people. It certainly was not keeping the standard the same. This is why critical race theory is such a bad thing, because what many people don't understand, including Don Lemon, is that critical race theory, the practice of critical race theory, is looking at the world critically through a race lens. In layman's terms, everything you see is you're looking for the racism. Everything you do, you're looking for racism. Every system that there is, you're looking for racism. Every activity you do, you're looking for racism. Every institution that you're in, you're looking for the racism. That's what it is. And so if you believe that, which these universities do, most of them, of course, when you are getting applicants, you're going to be looking through a race lens. And critical race theory says that if you're Black, if you're a woman, they have all these, if you're not a white man, you start to pile on the intersectionalities, which the more intersections that cross, the more favor you have, the more you need to be lifted up, the more your voice needs to be heard, the more special treatment you get, because it is assumed that if you're Black, you are automatically oppressed. You need some kind of upliftment. You need some kind of uplifting to be on the same level as everybody else, which I highly reject. I'm sorry. You don't get to be better than me just because you're white. You don't. But I don't get to be uplifted just because I'm Black either. It shouldn't work like that. It should work by skill. It should work by merit. And I'm not saying that that's what happens in every single case, in every single thing that we do, but certainly in a college where you're going to be working on people's limbs and their arteries and their hearts and their organs, you need to meet the standard that everyone else has, and it should be a high standard. So let's talk about the First Amendment and freedom of speech, and Elon and Don Lemon's thoughts on this.
If you go beyond the law, you're actually going beyond the will of the people. Okay, agreed with the law. But if you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility not to do that? When the people who are doing it admittedly are saying
those articles all the time that lead to violence and killing. Don't they? Shouldn't they? It's like you're applying a differential standard. I think that one the opportunity to read the internet. Are you suggesting we should shut down the internet?
No, but you don't own the internet. I'm asking you about you and your responsibility and your platform. And I see how you feel now. You don't agree. We don't agree on this.
Yes, you want censorship, and I don't.
No, I don't want censorship.
Yes, you do.
No, I want responsibility.
You desperately want censorship.
No, if I want censorship,
You want censorship so bad you can taste it.
no, that's not true. It's not true. I think that there's right and wrong. And I think that when you have a platform that's as big as yours and as powerful as yours and as influential as yours, and you are a person of consequence to the world with what you do, that there's a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. And I think that's important. You don't see that responsibility.
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and if people want the law changed, they should talk to their elected representative and get the law changed, and then we will adhere to the law.
What a crock of crap. Don Lemon would not fight for his my cat is making a debut, everyone. Don Lemon would not fight for Elon Musk, his right to his speech. There are already guardrails with freedom of speech. It is not just you can say completely anything. We all know you can't yell fire in a crowd in a public space when there's no fire. We know those. There are guardrails already. This was already thought about. And I liken it to this. I liken it to if you're driving, you're driving a car and there are other people on the road. Someone drives like all crazy. They're weaving in and out of lanes and they're doing all kind of crazy stuff. They're compliant with the law. They're putting on their blinker when they're driving. They're driving in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, but they're within the speed limit, but they're bobbing in and out of, in this lane, in that lane. You've seen those drivers before. Don Lemon would say, okay, well, we need to have these car manufacturers be more responsible with their cars and make them not be able to bob and weave in and out of lanes. These car manufacturers, something needs to be done about these car manufacturers. Don't you care, car manufacturer, about the other people that you're making feel uncomfortable? That you could cause violence, you could cause an accident. Car manufacturers, you need to be more responsible. But see, when you put it in that context, Don, he wouldn't go there. I remember when I was in college, we were looking at businesses, and when they first created the car, they knew that it could possibly cause 40,000 deaths per year. So one of the questions was, would you move forward with a product if you knew that it could possibly cause 40,000 deaths per year? Now, we didn't know that this was the automobile that they were talking about at the time, but that was one of the considerations. And as you can see, they still moved forward with the car because that was in a time where people were more free to make their own decisions. Okay, here's it could pop, and they didn't even have seatbelts back then. But somebody like Don Lemon who feels like he knows best, and because he's like, I know right from wrong. That is clearly subjective, because as a Christian, and your lifestyle is clearly different from what I believe is right and wrong. He would not want me, let's say I own Twitter, he would not want me to take what I believe as right and wrong and say, nope, people like you are not allowed to say what they say. You could cause harm. You could cause all kinds of different things. You wouldn't want me to say that. So I don't think these people really it is just like what Elon said. It is only it's you want this as long as it's against what you want it to be against. There is a responsibility that we have as citizens. You know, he keeps talking about the responsibility of the owner. There is a responsibility for citizens, for human beings who live in a free society. You need to be responsible for yourself. How about that? That's something that we do not talk about. And this is something too, and I really wanted to talk about this because it directly relates to kids, because we want to put all the onus on someone else for the DEI stuff. We want to say, oh, these schools, we have to lower the standard so the other people can get it, instead of saying to kids, young people, you need to up your standard. Here is the bar. You need to meet it. And even with the First Amendment, we want to say, oh, we'll put that on the businesses. No, as a free citizen, with freedom comes responsibility. It is incumbent upon you as a private citizen to keep scrolling when you don't see, when you don't like what you see, or to get off the platform or do whatever you need to do. If it bothers you that much, we want everybody to make our lives comfortable. But we don't want to take on the responsibility of actually having to do something to make our own selves comfortable. This is ridiculous. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about DEI? What do you think about your First Amendment rights? I would love to know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.